Welcome to the Brilliant Humans podcast, where we celebrate extraordinary people. But here's the catch. No one is talking about themselves. Every guest is here to share the story of a brilliant human who shaped them, inspired them, or changed their life forever. They might be famous or completely unknown, alive or no longer with us. A teacher, a parent, a stranger, a leader, a friend. These are real stories, honestly told. Stories of kindness, creativity, courage and connection, because brilliance deserves to be shared. This is the Brilliant Humans podcast. Welcome to the show. Today on the Brilliant Humans podcast, I'm joined by James Sweeney, or simply Sweeney as he's more commonly known. A PR and communications professional, Sweeney is passionate about storytelling, community and helping others find their voice. When he's not posting on the fantastic Sweeney's blog, which I highly recommend, he can be found at a pub quiz, karaoke night, or exploring new places. Today, he's here to celebrate someone who he says is a human personification of a hug. So let's find out more. Welcome, James.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
I'm very, very well, thanks.
Now, James, it was funny, when I read your application to come on the podcast, the enthusiasm for your brilliant human, it was one of the ones that just jumped off the page at me. I was like, wow, I've got to hear more about this person. You called them the personification of a hug, which I absolutely love. So I've just got to get straight into this because I've got to hear more. Who is your brilliant human?
So my brilliant human is a man called Gareth Bown, who I've had the privilege of calling a close friend now for around 5.5 years. Time's going by so fast.
And so Gareth, you said you've been friends for 5.5 years. How did he first come into your life then?
So there's a few different little stages to how me and Gareth first became friends. So we actually met through LinkedIn, the lovely platform which I spend way too much of my time on. So back in 2020, when lockdown 1 first happened, I started a LinkedIn group for young professionals who are wanting to make a positive change in the world in some shape or actual form. And when we first started that group, there were only 4 of us in it, and one of our members present was friends with Gareth, and she thought that he would be a brilliant fit. So after about 3 or 4 weeks, Gareth joined, and then every month during lockdown 1, 2, and 3, we used to have the virtual calls, which typically lasted from like 1 whole hour to like 3, where we'd have catch-ups, we'd look back on the last 2 weeks, and Gareth would just join, and he'd be there eating food, dancing, singing, doing everything that was he was so random but so happy and so ready to give back so much. And so whilst I started back in 2020, I first met Gareth in actual person last Jan. So sort of after being friends for 3 whole actual years, we finally met up as part of a shared community we are a part of. And so seeing him sort of moving from virtual to a sort of mixed sort of friendship style was just brilliant. And whilst it can be a bit scary meeting people who you've only met through an actual screen in person, can be quite a terrifying process. It was so sort of naturally calming and very, very stilling, and so very just happy and open. And so Gareth went from sort of hugging trees to sort of sliding down mountains and sort of doing sort of everything that really makes you want to be friends with someone. Whilst there's this wacky side, there's also this deeply caring side, and really seeing the whole spectrum of who somebody is and how they choose to share that with you and with loads of others is a pleasure to see.
I mean, we've got to dive deeper into all of this tree hugging and stuff like that, because he sounds fascinating. But you said that when you started the online group, it was a friend of yours who was in the group who said, we've got to get this guy, Gareth. So at this point, he's just this stranger that you've never met. What was it about him that your friend thought, do you know what, I need him in this group? What makes him so unique or memorable?
Gareth used to brand himself as the world's least boring accountant, and that's something that he's sort of lived through. fully, and something which I really feel like sort of that encapsulate his whole character then is how he's very intentional. Sort of nothing is fake, and that's kind of what I think makes the perfect sort of person. Because like when you're all growing up, you are always told to try and surround yourself with good people, but no one really tells you what a good person is. And I kind of think it's someone who is there for the highs in your life, also the lows, and just the usual middle ground. Like life isn't always high, life isn't always low. Sometimes there's just this usual middle ground, and so Gareth is basically there for everything, and just sort of watching that flow happen, and just sort of seeing how he makes such a positive change to everyone he actually meets. Like it's hard not to like him, which is kind of really nice. But there are times where you want to be angry, but then you hear him laugh, and you're like, I can't be angry with him. It just doesn't work. Just doesn't work.
And I missed the name of the group that you're members of. What is that group and what do you do?
So that is a group called the Undefinable Community. So we've been a group now for about 2.5 years. So we are focused on seeing people as more than just their labels. So I'm not just somebody who works in fractional marketing and comms. I'm a big advocate for people with stutters. I basically love doing mentoring or traveling. There's so many different areas of my life that I don't feel like I fit in one lane. But so back in 2022, we actually made a group to really support and empower people who felt in a very similar way. Of doing that, so seeing how Gareth operates as both a member of this group and as somebody who's driving the future of the group has really just deepened how you understand how somebody thinks in different settings. And like when things come to booking trips, so as a part of our group, we basically arrange our different tasks and loads of different meetups and some of stuff. So every quarter we go on a weekend retreat where we basically do anything from improv comedy to sort of hiking up mountains to sort of chilling in hot tubs to karaoke, basically anything.
Love that. I really like that you're doing that. And you listed, I mean, apart from improv stand-up comedy or improv comedy, you listed karaoke, hot tubs, and hiking, which, I think I might have to join this group, to be honest. It sounds perfect. But yeah, I mean, what do you think the biggest impact Gareth's had on you in the last 5 years?
Oh, the tough one, tough one. I would say my first thought goes to 2021, 2022. So I got shortlisted for a prize for the Investors in People Young Person of the Year award for 2021. And like, whilst that was something that I was so proud of, I basically felt really nervous and shy to actually share it to anyone. And I was think back on I was on a random chat with Gareth, and I was like, I'm just going to tell him, and we're just going to move on quickly. And he was like, stop, like you do realize how big this is to actually have. And then I was like, how what? And then so for the next like 10 minutes, we basically had a chat on all this and stuff, and how I should be so proud of my journey, which I didn't really take much time to actually celebrate much of. And I left that chat feeling really whole, and I kind of thought that that would just be that. And then the day after, I woke up to see that Gareth had wrote a whole LinkedIn post on me and basically shouted me out, and I was like, somebody's taken the actual time to write a whole post on me, just sort of shouting me out and being really sort of kind and really positive. I was like, I don't really know how to react to that, but like I'm just so grateful and so happy, and just feel like really seen, valued, and heard. Like seeing all different likes and comments coming in onto the post, seeing all the love and care that was there, which wouldn't have happened without Gareth taking the time to actually think, post, and actually follow through on actions there, and it was just lovely, so lovely.
Yeah, what an amazing gesture. And
Yeah,
celebrating other people, I think that's the sign of a brilliant person. Just the
yeah,
confidence to be able to actually look for the good of others, celebrate other people, be humble, not make it all about themselves. I mean, I
Completely
love
agree.
that, and I'm glad he did that. And because it was what a great accolade for you to be awarded. Honestly, that's amazing. So you mentioned, I mean, look, you briefly mentioned, and this isn't about you or indeed
Mhm.
your stammer,
Yeah.
but how's he supported you? Because you're on here, and I think it's exceptional. I've met you before, and to be honest, I don't think of you as a sufferer, but clearly Gareth's been a part of that journey with you. So how's he helped on that aspect of your life?
Stuttering is something that's very personal, and it's something that doesn't really get spoken about as much as I would like it to be in the wider world. And really looking at how something makes you feel as a person with a stutter is quite important. So for me personally, going into big group settings where there's gonna be loads of different voices, loads of chats going on. I feel quite nervous because I don't know if I'm going to be able to fully manage my speech. Like you might see my hands move now. Like I manage my speech by making regular movements and gradually scale it up to the usual flow of an actual chat. But with P like Gareth, as they make you feel so sort of centered and so naturally calm, that really takes away all the pressure and like you don't have to worry about stuttering because if you reach a stage where you do stutter, it's fine. So P will have patience, and in most cases, they will give you the space to finish what you want to say. And I kind of think it links to the point on the LinkedIn post that Gareth made about me and like all of our random chats over the years. Like for I personally find doing virtual calls really scary at times. Like when I first started doing them in lockdown one, the whole sort of rhythm and techniques which I used to manage my speech fluency were flawed, and I really needed people to help boost me up, but I didn't really know how to ask for help. And whilst I had my mum, my dad, and my brother all played really key parts of that, I did need something else. And I kind of think friends like Gareth and so many other friends really helped boost me up and really help me see that I'm more than my stutter. So like whilst my stutter is a part of me, it's not the sole defining factor of who I am as a person. And for for me, I don't think I would be as fluent as I am to this day without people like him still giving me that boost and to show me that they care and they don't mind waiting if I stutter. But with when I'm with people like that, I don't stutter much, and that's just a true testament to who they are, where they shed all those walls, all those boundaries, and just let you use your voice and speak in a free and open manner, which is just sort of excellent to actually have.
I was just telling my 7-year-old son that, for him, he's only ever known me working on, the majority of my time is working remotely on a screen. And I was
Yeah,
trying to explain to him that before COVID, it was always in the
it's so
office. We
different.
didn't really, I'd never used Teams before, and it just all changed overnight. And even for
Yeah,
someone that doesn't suffer with any sort of stutter, or I'm pretty confident, that learning that new language of communication was a shock, and it really took
yeah,
some time to understand the rhythm, to understand the eye contact thing, so I can only imagine, and like you say, having someone like Gareth in your corner and meeting him at that time must have been really important. You're listening to the Brilliant Humans podcast, where, here's the catch, no one is talking about themselves, only the brilliant human who has changed their life. If you've got someone you'd like to celebrate, drop us a note at brillianthumanspodcast@gmail.com. Do you know why he's like he is? Like, what's his background? Why is he such a motivator? Why is he such a positive person?
I think he sees people for who they are, and like he doesn't see people for the mask that they try and use to the outside world. He sees people for who they naturally are. So when I first met Gareth, he's running his own business. He ran his business for a number of years in the financial kind of space. Then once I stopped, he moved over to a few different sort of hobbies and a few different jobs. So he's done jobs from helping sell Christmas trees to moving to Scotland to actually do loads of different sort of things. Like he's gone cycling with his father around Morocco, I think 2 years back. Like there's so many different parts to him, and I kind of feel like it's the home that his dad and his sisters really helped shape, and it's just how he wants to be there for others, and like there's like he doesn't do it to get something back. Just him doing it is him getting something back. Like he's not reaching out to make himself feel good. Just him reaching out to help others makes him feel naturally good. And he's very happy to help challenge himself whilst also doing that to then better how he understands himself and others too. So like I don't think there's one specific area or person that's fully helped shape him into who he is, but I kind of feel like he's the amalgamation of family, so care and passion, all merged to make somebody who like you just want to be a friend to,
Yeah.
and a friend with
Yeah.
most
No,
most
I mean,
importantly.
he definitely sounds like someone I'd like to meet. But I mean, how would your life be different if you'd never met him?
I think looking back to those lockdown wonders where we used to have virtual calls every month, like when lockdown one happened, I didn't really have one social group which I could lean on and really use to help get me through it, and also help them get through it too. And like I mentioned, when lockdown happened, how I managed my speech was totally flawed. I didn't really know if I had a voice and how I could use that voice. So whilst I had my blogs, I had my LinkedIn content, I still felt like there's something missing. And if it wasn't for those calls where so Gareth and others made the space and time for me to speak on how I was generally feeling, I don't really know how I would have gotten through it. And like whilst COVID was a hard time, so physically for certain people going and stuck through it, mentally it's a very challenging time to really understand what was happening. So sort of having PE like Gareth helped remind me that there's a much bigger world and I could venture into it if I wanted to and when I was ready to. Like sort of looking back in the last 3 or 4 years, like I've now started going on solo holidays, sort of doing much more things. And I kind of feel like I wouldn't be the person that I am without people like him to really spur me on, and just sort of knowing that if you need help, he's there.
Yeah. And I think what this shows is so often we think of LinkedIn as, self-promotion or personal brand stuff or finding a job. But actually, this is a really good example of how an online community has a really positive outcome. Um,
Definitely.
which is just so wonderful. And like you said, it started off with just a couple of people, but look what's happened from that. And particularly at a really important time where it would have been really easy to become super isolated in COVID. I mean, a lot of us struggle a bit. And you mentioned, it was funny, you mentioned sort of lockdown 1, 2, and 3, almost like it was a trilogy of films. But I mean, lockdown 1, whilst it was horrendous for a lot of people for a number of reasons, a lot of people kind of enjoyed lockdown 1
Yeah,
because it was
yeah,
a chance to
agree.
slow down.
Very
And I
new,
mean,
lovely
personally,
weather.
exactly, it was amazing weather, but and for me, it was like, okay, I'm suddenly not traveling. I'm with my family. I'm in my house. I was connecting with people online. We kind of made the most of it. It was something new and something different. Lockdown 2 and lockdown 3, they were tough.
They were
They were
tough.
really tough. So I think it's amazing that you had that support from Gareth. I mean, how did he respond in those times? I mean, he was the positive one, but did he, even brilliant people struggle sometimes. So have you been there for him as well?
I would certainly hope so. So facing love, sort of helping others and sort of making others feel things. I know what it feels like not to have a voice, and I kind of feel like most of the difference that me and Gareth make to one another's lives isn't in the big showy things. It's more in the smaller sort of chats, like whether it's a small sort of message on WhatsApp, seeing how somebody's doing, or if he does a post on LinkedIn, or I do a post on LinkedIn, sort of sharing a bit of love there, and basically just knowing that we are there for each other through the highs, through lows, and through that middle ground. So bringing that back to a full cycle. So how all that ebbs, flows, and changes. That's a part of life, and I kind of feel like that's what makes the best of friends is when you don't have to be that showy person all the time. You can just be you, and that's fine. Like so, over the last couple of years, like, I look back on like when 2023 was quite a bad year for me and my family, like we just lost three grandparents in quite a short time. And Gareth was there for quite a lot of that. Wasn't a massive voice, but was just somebody who was there and helped me get through it. And
Yeah.
I think how that's been reciprocated on my end hasn't been through grand gestures, well, sort of other than this now, but much more through sort of smaller, more passive things. And what I personally think is really sort of key to measure is that with friendships, it's not a transactional thing to it's more just a case of sort of being there and helping one another through life's many twists and turns, really capturing every moment. There's so many different facets, so many different areas, but it's something that I'm very grateful for.
My word, you said a few things there that were really landing with me, really resonating. Relationships aren't transactional, friendships aren't transactional. It's so true. There's certain people in life that just think everything's a give and a get, or you're of value to me right now, so I don't mind giving
Yeah.
you. But when you stop being value to me, I don't want to know. Whereas actually the true brilliant people in this world are the ones that never expect anything back.
Yeah.
And there's a guy, he's so lovely. There's a guy called Richard Tubb, and he actually sent me a book called The Go-Giver. And again, quite a short book, and it's just changed my entire perspective. And they talk about this in the book, is that just don't ever expect anything back. Just give freely. And that's what you're saying about Gareth. And the other things that resonated with me is there's just the small gestures. It doesn't need to be the big things. We could do the big things. They're fine.
Yeah.
But I've
Well,
I've got a couple of friends that they'll just check in. It was as simple as like a little WhatsApp. How you doing? These are people that they'll just message, how you doing? And you go, oh, do you know what? Someone was thinking about me, and that's all I need to know.
Makes you feel really good in there. It makes me really valued when you hold.
I mean, what's the biggest lesson that Gareth's taught you that you'd like others to know, the other people that are listening to this podcast?
I would say don't be scared of who you are. Like if you're somebody who wants to go from being wild, really happy, really singy, really jumpy, to someone who can have deeper chats and have those more meaningful moments, do it. Like, so if people are so scared of looking or feeling a certain way that they're scared to take action that could generally make a positive change in their life. Like, he doesn't let fear hold him back. And I think that's something that we can all take a lot from, because it's so easy when those little fears start going and they slowly start scaling up, and then just actually going, wait, I know that I can do this. I know that I can do that. I've only got this, and this. All I need to do is actually get this and this, and I'm free to move from A to B, then B to C, and slowly do it. And so breaking down that fear where it's logical is a big lesson that I've learned from him.
Yeah. And sometimes just asking, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
I go and have a conversation with someone. I join that online group. What's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work out. Okay. So yeah, I love that. Thank you so much. I mean, how do you think the world would be different if more people were like Gareth?
I think some people wear masks as they're scared of how they're going to be judged for a certain way. And I think if more people were like Gareth, they'd feel a lot more naturally calm to be who they are. And I kind of think that that shedding of masks really helps us connect more as people. And it's not so much on a superficial level, but on a much more meaningful level. And I think, yeah, it's just being true to who you are and really just actually having those deeper bonds, which can make a big difference in a lot of people's lives. Like, well, whilst we are living in a world that's more connected than ever, feeling lonely has never been stronger. So I feel like people like Gareth help shine a light shine a light on those days where you're feeling a little bit dark, and really just help show that there's hope there. There's really positive people out there, and Gareth's not the only one. There's so many people who are actually like it, and by being that little bit more true to who you are, you don't know where you're going to go in actual life. Like, I've had the pleasure of meeting so many people over the last couple of years, and then such a lot about them, and by learning them and their stories, they've helped make me a much better person and a much more curious person to just learn more and more and more and more and more. And that's the thing, is so being true to who you are, but also being a very curious person and making the most of life. Like, we don't know how many years we have on this planet, and that, whilst that can seem like a scary concept, it also really drives you to just jump in and see what's there. So go in a shop somewhere, have that coffee, as you mentioned. There's all these smaller subtle actions and the grand ones, mixing them into the story, which is your life, is such a naturally warm thing to do. It really makes you a very fascinating person when it comes to me going to different networking events or meeting people now. I've got so many more stories linked to my life simply due to having friends like Gareth who are just there for me through every stage. So summarize that very long answer, I say being true to who you are, being very curious, and just having fun, because life could be hard, and just have fun.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, it was a perfect answer. I think it's that authenticity piece. I think that's so important, because imagine trying to turn up to work every day and not be yourself, and like you say, finding places and people that allow you to do that. The curiosity thing and the fun thing. I say this all the time at work. It's like you can have fun and you can still make impact. And it's so important. And this really radiates through everything you're saying, James. It really does. Like, I feel like Gareth is coming through, but also, your brilliant take on the world as well. That's the great thing about this podcast. It's kind of actually I get two brilliant people to talk about and two. So I really appreciate that. Well, look, I mean, amazingly, we've chatted away about Gareth. I feel like I really need to meet the man, but you've painted an amazing picture. But he is your brilliant human. And one of the things we do on this show is we allow the final question is simply this. What would you say to Gareth if he's listening?
I would say just thank you. And whilst thank you doesn't seem like a proper answer, the words don't do justice to the sort of different people like Gareth have on your life. So just sort of thank you for just being there. And so be it the happy times, be it the sad times, be it the normal times, just being that constant presence where you know that if somebody needs you, you're there. If somebody doesn't need you, then you're still there to have a laugh and to have those jokes and have that sort of funny times. Thank you for just being you and the warmth you bring to life. Like we all need someone like Gareth in our corner, and I'm very lucky to have met you and to call you a very close friend.
That's amazing. And he really does sound like a brilliant human. So thank you so much for coming on here and talking about him. James, before you go, how can people, one, access your blog? Because I think you put some really important stuff out on it about mental health, about stuttering, if someone suffers with that.
Sure. So that's www.sweeneysblogs.com. And if you'd like to find out more about me or my story, feel free to add me on LinkedIn. So that's James Sweeney, and I'll be happy to answer any questions and help out wherever I can.
There you go. Well, yeah, I really recommend people check out the blog. We'll put a link to it in the description as well. But for now, James, thank you so much for coming on. I've really enjoyed this chat. And this is all stuff that is just so reinforcing, because you kind of go, yeah, do you know what? You're absolutely right. And all of it resonated with me. So thanks so much. Thank you to Gareth, and hopefully see you soon. Thank you for listening to the Brilliant Humans podcast. If you've got a brilliant human you'd like to celebrate, then email us at brillianthumanspodcast@gmail.com to find out how to share their story. Or if you've got someone you'd simply like to thank, why not tell them now? It might just make their day. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to follow, like, or leave us a comment. It really helps more people discover these brilliant stories. See you next time.